The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in stores or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list, from football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands. The most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. We are giving the gift of fun of the rewatch of the game after Ohio State's emphatic, cathartic, dominant BTA 27-9 win over Michigan. We have to talk about it more, Mick. We can't get over what we saw in the Big House on Saturday, from the letdown of the beginning of the first quarter to the high of the Jeremiah Smith touchdown, to the Brandon Ennis touchdown, to the Carnell Tate touchdown, the field goals, Jaden Fielding, perfect 2 for 2 on the day. Everything was coming up Buckeyes after the initial few punches thrown by Michigan, both literally and proverbially. How was your rewatch, Mick? This seems like the most fun rewatch we could have possibly had for the Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah, I had to put the phone down, get off Twitter for a little bit, stop with the memes and the jokes and the retweets, put that down. Actually get back to work a little bit and got to rewatch the game like you said. It's a fascinating experience because I think even though Ohio State had the mishaps in the first quarter where you had the big Jordan Marshall rushing rush to begin the game, you had the Julian Sand interception. It just, unlike last year when they kind of went down and they were struggling, it never really felt like Ohio State was going to lose that one. So it was just kind of interesting to see, knowing the full result, the process of getting back. And I showed you a picture, and I'll post it on social media at some point. But the picture of Julian Sane throwing the interception in the game, one of his first pass attempts, he just claps his hands, runs off to the sidelines, get back out there. And I think they showed it on the Fox graphic when I was rewatching. Went 7 of 8 for like 80 yards and a touchdown after that. Then he throws another touchdown at the end of the half. He was locked in. I think there was the whole hope by our friends over on the fourth that if the snow came and the weather came, that he kind of turtle up because he's a Cali boy, and he's Cali cool, that's for sure, because he was dicing up the Michigan defense.
It was awesome to see, and for Julian to sit up there in the post game and with a smile say, "Yeah, the snow was actually fun. I had some fun playing in the snow because I didn't get to do this in high school. It was really cool. I thought the Buckeyes handled everything offensively extremely well, from adjusting and shaking off the early turnover to finding some ways to get Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate one-on-one or into some open grass against the zone. They handled the mysterious, completely coincidental helmet communication going out in the fourth quarter when Ohio State was just starting to impose its will against Michigan. They handled that extremely well. I thought everybody really did a good job with that. Julian sprinting over to the sideline and getting the play call, coming back over, getting the play in, getting set up, reading the defense, and getting the snap off before the play clock expired. Like, that was all really good. So kudos to the Ohio State offensive operation for just everything that was thrown at them on Saturday. They handled extremely well. They allowed Julian Sand to look like he didn't even play a game because of how clean he was kept in the snow on Saturday. He was barely touched. I think they got a couple of late hits on him on some screens or some quick stuff that I thought could have been flagged, to be honest. And other than that, Michigan didn't touch him. And Derek Moore, who's an all Big Ten pass rusher, was completely stonewalled by Austin Sareveld, which is just like, we say it's surprising, but he did that against Colin Simmons as well. We saw the Michigan interior defense look completely outclassed and outmatched by Ohio State's interior offensive line. Tegra Shabola played his best game as a Buckeye. I have a list, Mick, of guys that I thought played their best game of their career in this game. It's remarkable. It's long, but I don't know if that's because Ohio State was so good and just executed at a really high level, or if the competition wasn't what we thought it was going to be. And I don't know what's more damning for Michigan. Is it that Ohio State played its best game, or that Michigan didn't look that good? Like, I don't know what would be more damning if you're the rival getting run off your own field like that. So, it is what it is. But I could not be more impressed with, from the top down, from Ryan Day and the way he came out aggressive, from Brian Hartline and the game that he called with some of the creativity that he had, to the players on the field, the execution, the communication, just every bit of this offense was great on Saturday. And I think for the fact that the program made the entire offense the offensive player of the game, I thought was awesome. And you can't say enough about him.
And the guy that I think we need to go back to, because I don't know if we've mentioned him by name yet, but that's just Bo Jackson. We'll say it there at the top and then kind of get into why we got to talk about him more. You wrote about it on Thursday or Friday last week, might have been even Wednesday. Just a long line of freshmen that have been good in the Ohio State-Michigan game and how Bo could be next. Well, it ended up that he was next because Ohio State's played, I guess at this point we can say 2 games of real consequence where it was like weight on the season. The one was the season opener against Texas where Bo didn't play at all. And now there's the 12th game of the season. Ohio State's trying to win the game for the first time in 5 years. Bo Jackson goes out there, finishes with more total yards than the entire Michigan offense had for the game. And I think it was pretty hilarious to watch upon the rewatch. There was the situation where he gets the dump down pass and breaks it for about 25 yards ish, and he kind of gets up there and there's a clip going around. I think Ohio State football account has posted it of him and Jair Hill kind of going at each other on the sidelines. And the immediate next play is him breaking off a rush in which Jair Hill tackles him like as he falls into the end zone, just comes up just short. And Bo Jackson immediately turns around to go to Jair Hill again. And Jair wanted no business of Bo the second time after getting run through on the first one. So Bo set the tone early and often in that game. And obviously there's Carnell touchdown, there's Jeremiah's touchdown, Brandon Ennis' touchdown. But the guy that set the tone, like you mentioned, was those 5 offensive linemen up front who Phillip Daniels and Austin Sarabelt have played like one of the best tandem as offensive tackles in the country, and especially the Big Ten since Phillip Daniels returned after that missed game against Purdue. And Bo Jackson has just continued to look like probably a freshman All-American and one of the better running backs in the Big Ten in the country for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, Bo was fantastic. And, I think about the balance run where he puts his hand on the ground and keeps himself up and gets a few extra yards. I think about kind of pinballing between Michigan defenders for some yards. The stutter step run was one of the more iconic runs that you're going to see in the game for the Ohio State side in the last handful of years. And that is including a lot of those wins, like those iconic style runs, like Bo stutter stepping and getting through the Michigan linebackers and watching some of those guys take bad angles on Bo because they're not really sure what he's got in the tank. He was fantastic. And he's a man of few words. He doesn't need a lot to say because he does all of his talking on the field. But man, like you talk about a superstar being born, somebody at Lettermen Row wrote that Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Beanie Wells were 3 freshmen who broke out in the game and became Ohio State legends, after a breakout performance in the game. I don't know who it was, but he was a pretty wise person who wrote about that and said that maybe Bo Jackson had a chance to be the latest in that. And it was just, I think there was also somebody, maybe it was a different person, I can't remember, who said Bo Jackson was going to have 100 yards rushing in the game. And there he went, 117 yards, 166 total, 3 more than the entire Michigan offensive operation on Saturday. So, I mean, just Bo was everything you would want and more. And then the other guy that I think was absolutely box office in this game, like can't miss, so good. If you rewatch the game, focus on 89. And I'm not just saying that because he played at Ohio and, he's a Bobcat cut from the same cloth as somebody on this program, as a fellow green and white Ohio Bobcat who stands up and cheers. But like Will Kazmarek was awesome. I think he had 3 or 4 knockdowns that I counted. He was getting chippy a little bit without getting overexcited and getting penalties. He was throwing Derek Moore to the ground. He was throwing different Michigan defenders all around. He was great in the blocking game. He had a really clutch catch down the middle of the field near the 50-yard line that if he doesn't get his hands on that, if it's not caught, it's probably an interception, to be honest, because if you watch the guy behind him who was just waiting to catch it, I thought Will Kazmarek was the best tight end in the game, including the guys over on Michigan's sideline, including the other guys at Ohio State. Kazmarek was awesome. And I think this could be a springboard for him for the rest of the season to kind of prove that he can be an NFL guy here in the next 3 or 4 games, 4 or 5 games, however many Ohio State's going to get the fortune of playing here. So I'm just a couple standout performers that I think we needed to highlight there as playing like at their best. Urban Meyer has this really famous, I think overused quote sometimes in the Ohio State hype videos and things, and Urban's yelling before an Ohio State-Michigan game, "When I needed you most, you gave me your best." I think especially Tegra Shabola, Will Kazmarek, and Bo Jackson on the offensive side of the ball, like when Ryan Day and Brian Hartline needed them most, those guys were at their very, very best. And I could not be happier for those guys because I know what they put in. And hopefully for Ohio State's sake, that springboards them into success in the college football playoff.
There was a real funny moment too, and I think it was a Jaden Fielding field goal drive. I think like in the second half of the game, there's Will Kazmarek was clearly blocking a little after the whistle, through the echo of the whistle, as the Ohio State coaches would probably say, and he got the Michigan defender kind of jawing at him a little bit, and the Michigan defender kind of wanted to do what they were trying to do, be tough, act tough, and then Will Kazmarek just puts his hands behind his back because he knew if he went any further, there was going to be some contact. And it was just funny to see him instigate it and take a way up to the line and then throw the hands behind his back and say, I've already won this. I don't need to engage with you any further.
Yeah. So, it's just one of those things. I think the Buckeyes handled themselves really well for what Michigan was trying to do, some of the things Michigan was trying to accomplish, not between the whistles, but between the whistle of the last play and the whistle starting the next play. So, it is what it is. Who was your defense player of the game, Nick? Ohio State, again, just gives the entire defense player of the game honors. Who's the guy that you kind of want to highlight here on the defensive side? Because I have mine with a bullet. I wrote about it in the setting the table for Monday on the Monday column for Lettermen Row ahead of the Big Ten championship game. If you take the guy, I'll probably be a little upset, but that's okay.
Let's just catch it and throw it right back to you, Spence. I'll let you tee off on your guy, and I'll come back around.
Kenyatta Jackson, man. This guy is incredible. And he had the conversation with Ryan Day and Matt Patricia that he kind of talked about. You could see that he was a little pissed off in his eye. I want to rush the passer. And if they let me rush the passer, I know what I'm going to do. I like caging the pocket. I'll do whatever the team needs me to do. I'm a leader of this team, but I want to rush the passer. And, man, what a conversation that was. Maybe Bill Rabinos will write a book about that conversation rather than the team meeting from last year because, this has unlocked this guy. 4.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss in the last 7 games after 1 sack and just 2 tackles for loss in the 5 games to start the season. In the last 7 games, he has completely flipped the switch. He should have had another sack in this game. Bryce Underwood barely got away and got the football away. He should have probably had another one on a screenplay that ended up getting blown up in the first quarter where he almost got to Underwood, and he was almost too quick even on a screen and almost got there. He is blowing up every tackle he plays. He has a massive matchup this week against Carter Smith from Indiana, the left tackle, who's been an All-American guy this year for the Hoosiers. It's going to be a really good matchup, and I'm super excited to watch it because no defensive end in college football, full stop, is playing as well as Kenyatta Jackson right now. I know Cassius Howell at Texas A&M is really good. I know Colin Simmons at Texas is awesome. I know Dylan Stewart and those guys at South Carolina are really good. There are defensive ends elsewhere who I think are really, really, really good players. Makai Kamara at Indiana is one of them. I think he's maybe a linebacker defensive end hybrid, but he plays on the defensive line. Nobody is playing at a higher level right now than Kenyatta Jackson. And the fact that Buckeyes are getting him on one side with Caden Curry and Arvo Reese and Sonny Styles in this defense, and Caden McDonald in the middle, they're becoming more and more difficult to block because of him. And if you watch closely on Saturday against Michigan, or if you go back and do some rewatch and grind the tape, 97 is going to just pop time and time again. The QB run with Bryce Underwood, nothing doing because of 97. The pass game sped up the internal clock of a freshman quarterback because of 97. He was everywhere, and I think he deserves some praise finally for what he's doing because I don't think he's got near enough of it.
97 is a great pick. You go one more and add 98 to that. Caden McDonald was a one-man wrecking crew against that young interior Michigan offensive line. He was dominant. I think the Twitter sphere has already kind of picked up on how good he played. I want to give credit to 2 guys in the back end, one that we talk about a ton and one that we've talked about here and there. But Caleb Downs and Jalen McClain, there's a lot of the idea of Michigan breaks off explosive runs. And they did. They had a couple 30-yarders, right around the 40-yard mark. But they were never able to get anything that was a touchdown or anything like the Donovan Edwards touchdown a couple years ago or any situation like that. Because every time they really wanted to, Caleb Downs was there or Jalen McClain was there running them down. And you live to play another down, and that's how you give up 3 field goals instead of 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and you make this a game like that. So credit to those safeties for playing well on the back end. I imagine they also played really well if you're trying to read coverages and figure out what you want to do with that pass game. Not that Michigan really tried to put the ball in the hands of Bryce Underwood, but he was confused all day. He was harassed all day by the front, and a large part of that is that defensive line and back 7.
Yeah, it was really good, man. I'm going to also give some credit to Davis Nick-Benosin and Jermaine Matthews. I guess we're just talking the whole defense, but Just a complete performance from this group. Andrew Marsh, 0 catches, 0 targets. The one time they did throw it his way, there was a pass interference on Jermaine Matthews. I thought the ball was uncatchable, to be honest. So I don't even know how much I really count that. And I know Jermaine probably thinks that it was uncatchable because Jermaine is the most confident person on earth. Dave Snigmanosin obviously had the interception, the most hilarious, and I mean this genuinely, the most hilarious 15-yard penalty you will ever see in a football game. Just ripping his helmet off, not caring at all. I know Austin and Burm asked on the Notebook from 97.1 The Fan and 10 TV Plus over on YouTube that, hey, OG Walt, does Davison still have to run for that penalty? And he said, yeah, he still has to run. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, in any other stadium in America, that you probably, make him run. But, like, guy just got to pick on this. We ain't never seen anybody like this freshman quarterback in the big house to seal a win. Like, I think one less gasser ain't going to kill him. I don't know. That's just me. But the standard is the standard, so I get it. But David Snigmanosin was awesome. He and Jermaine talked that talk. And on Saturday, they were completely walking the walk. Like, it was so good. Donovan McCulley, 3 catches, one of them over the middle, doesn't go against the corners. Jermaine and Davison, man, it's going to be really difficult to throw on these guys. And again, in the setting the table for Monday, the Monday column at Lettermen Row, I talked about the corners and the secondary having another show me matchup. Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt have been the best tandem of wide receivers, not named Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate, maybe in America this year. Maybe Mario Craver and Kevin Concepcion at A&M, but like it's really hard to find a tandem that's been better than Surratt and Cooper if you're putting Ohio State in a league of its own. I'm very intrigued to watch the matchups this weekend of those two down the field against Jermaine Matthews and David Snigmanosin. Indiana's a heavy back shoulder type of team still this year, like they were last year. And whether these corners can handle those guys will tell me everything I need to know. If they handle those corners and win the Big Ten, because Indiana's not getting deep shots down the field, Ohio State's going to win the national championship. I'm just telling you. Because you can't run on these guys. So can you pass on them is the question still. The secondary's been so good. And so if they hold up their end of bargain this week, I don't think there's a team that's going to beat these guys. So the whole defense, top to bottom, Matt Patricia's game plan, the run defense buckling down after the early issues, the pass defense just not letting this Michigan attack, which Michigan needs wide receivers like we need oxygen. It's just not good enough for a freshman quarterback when you put $10 million into your freshman quarterback to give him those receivers. This isn't a Michigan show, but like I thought it was pretty damning for the Wolverines, to be honest. Just like you don't have the juice out wide with this quarterback who you think is going to be generational. So, that's a problem for next year, I guess, in Columbus. It ain't going to be easier in Columbus next year, I'll tell you that much. I just think I don't want to overuse this, Mick, and tell me if I'm being off base here. This was as big of a program win as you can get because there's no single offensive player you can give credit to for like taking over the game. There's no single defensive player who changed it so much that you can give him credit. The game plan on both sides was so dominant and good. And the training staff for getting the receivers ready, like there is credit to go everywhere in this program. And like you don't often get like thorough program wins. This win over Michigan was as much of a program win as I've ever seen Ohio State have.
100%. And the credit to
that's an overused term too. I don't like using that term, but like there's no other word to use at this point. Like everyone did their job. It was very Patriots in that way, which I guess is fitting that Tom Brady was there to watch, and Patricia is coaching Ohio State and on the defensive side, and Ryan Day is a Patriots fan by trade. But like, it was a do your job win from the training table to the kitchen and nutrition staff to the coaching staff to the players.
And credit to Ryan Day from the very beginning, the onset of probably this season, I assume, is when they came up with this plan of after losing this game 4 straight years or 3 straight years, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact number. But the idea of like, hey, we're just going to go into this doing exactly what we need to do, what we do every week. This is what we'll do to try and win this game. We're not going to make this game. It is the game. It is the most important game on the schedule. It's the first of their goals, as Ryan Day has said multiple times. But we're just going to treat it like every other week. We're going to focus on this city right here on my hat instead of trying to focus on literally the process. We're going to try and get to our goals. And he prepared his team about obviously he's a national championship winning head coach at this point. They went on one of the best playoff runs we'll probably ever see when it comes to this multi-team, 12-team format. But that was as well of a prepared team for that situation as we could probably ever see. So credit to the coaching staff for doing that. And I imagine Spencer will write more about that, as will Austin and Berm and everybody at our at Lettermen Row. So just head on over there. Make sure you join. If you see this on Monday afternoon, I imagine Spencer's going to get this up relatively soon. Take part in our Cyber Monday deal, 50% off. Rivals, Lettermen Row, On 3, everything you can get in there. Be able to read our board. Be able to go ahead and, again, check out our friends over on the forum, see how they're reacting to this the most recent game on Saturday.
It ain't pretty.
But you can see it all, that's for sure. And we'll have all our coverage. National Signing Day coming up on Wednesday. There's going to be movement in and out. We'll have you covered with all that over at Lettermen Row.
Yeah, it's 50% off an entire year. You get the whole kit and caboodle, the On 3, the Rivals, I think you get a subscription to the Athletic with the membership. You get all of our shenanigans on the message board, all of the breaking news on the message board, the serious stuff on the board. You can read every other message board in America in the On 3 network, including the Ole Miss and LSU boards going back and forth right now about the Lane Kiffin saga, and the Michigan board about what Michigan might need to do to not have so much overconfidence heading into next year's edition of the game. Like, everything you need, $1, or not $1. It's usually $1 for your first 7 days. Instead, you can just get a full year for 50% off right now on Cyber Monday. Go check that out right now. Mick, is there anything actually, we need to get this out of the way, because I asked this question of former coworker, now colleague, one of our great friends, Tim May, and I asked this last year to you after the national championship game. If you had one lasting impression from the Big House on Saturday, an image, a quote, a scene, one play, what is that lasting, dot that's going to take up a piece of your brain until the day you die from Ohio State, Michigan 2025?
I mentioned it after the game, and I posted the video on the Lettermen Row Twitter page, Instagram, all that stuff. You can find it there. But Ryan Day, when the team had walked into the tunnel, Ryan Day walking up there, looking at all the Ohio State fans as the tunnel for the Big House, soaking that in for a second, and then raising his hands up and trying to just throwing them up and as in a victorious celebration. Like you've mentioned the word cathartic. I think everybody on the Ohio State's beat has used that at some point for this week for good reason. You could just see it in that moment when he threw his hands up, is that he had kind of finally, not a monkey on his head, he had finally gotten that one that he wanted to get on, kind of accomplish.
Yeah, that's a good pick. My pick is we were waiting on Ohio State and Michigan to both come up the tunnel. We were in the postgame press conference room, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to stand here and twiddle my thumbs and BS with the rest of the Ohio State beat, which none of them were doing that. They were all working. And I was like, I'm not saying that anybody wasn't working. What I'm saying is I'm not going to stand here and wait on Ryan Day. And I don't think I'm supposed to be in that tunnel, full stop. But I was like, I'm going to go out in the tunnel, and I'm going to see what's going on out there. If there's a fight, I want to be there. If there's a fracas, I want to be there. If there's yelling, I want to be there. Michigan players standing at the base of the tunnel by the field, not really letting anybody come up the tunnel. And finally, one of their tight ends, I won't say his name, coming over and yelling, like, you have 364 days to worry about them. Get your ass to the locker room, is what he said. So, sorry for swearing, but that's what he said. I'm just quoting. And then all of a sudden, the police put up the yellow tape, and nobody's in the tunnel. The tunnel is dead silent. You're hearing things break in the Michigan locker room. Players are yelling. I can't even imagine how many things were broken in that locker room afterward. And then the yellow tape comes down, and you just hear visceral yells of joy from the Ohio State players coming up the tunnel. And I have a full video on Lettermen Row, or on my Twitter account. It's on, it's everywhere that you can find video, I guess, at this point. Oh, it's 90 seconds of just pure elation from Ohio State. And you can hear things breaking in the Michigan locker room and just dead silence. And all that stands between them and Ohio State celebration was a door to their locker room. And they were listening. And so you can hear Ohio State just bursting with emotion heading into their locker room, coming up the Michigan tunnel. And I think that is all of that catharsis and that bottled up energy for the last 4 years just came out in that tunnel. And those guys were so happy. And I think that's the lasting image that I'll have from the Big House on Saturday. I mean, a close second is the drive home that almost killed me on Saturday after the game, trying to keep the car between the white lines. But that's neither here nor there. Nobody's going to listen to us complain about having to travel up to watch the 27-9 Ohio State win over Michigan. Michigan failed to reach the end zone as an offense. You hate to see it. That's Mick Walker on the other side of your screen. I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Guess what, folks? We have a Big Ten championship to cover at Lettermen Row for the first time since 2020. Ohio State's playing in the Big Ten championship game. It's 1 versus 2. It's Ohio State, Indiana. Like Mick Walker on the other side of your screen just said. 50% off right now. The Cyber Monday deal at Lettermen Row ends at midnight. Go get it right now. Don't wait another second. Go get it right now. 50% off an entire year. You'll get coverage of the college football playoff, all the recruiting coverage you need throughout the entire summer. And next year's Texas game, it's included. Next year's Michigan game, right now, it's included. Go get the deal right now. 50% off for your entire year. Come hang out with us at Lettermen Row. Subscribe to the YouTube channel below, and we'll see you guys back here for another breakdown of the Buckeyes. This one will be geared toward Ohio State, Indiana in the Big Ten title game. It's 1 versus 2. Lettermen Row will be there every step of the way. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys back here soon. We'll see you over at lettermenrow.com.